However, you don't not play Jayson Tatum. That man just won NBA championship. Just signed the biggest contract in NBA history. Oh, and by the way, your reward is sit down and don't play in the first Olympic game.
But I don't give a damn what anybody says. There's no excuse to not play Jayson Tatum in 2 games. There's just no excuse for it. I don't care what anybody says.
What are we doing here? Guys, what are we doing here? Team USA just won a gold medal at the Olympics, finishing the tournament undefeated, and we are still talking about the minutes Jayson Tatum played during the tournament. And it's not just the media talking either, because Tatum himself is posting things like this. Now, you probably think I'm about to spend the next 10 minutes calling Jayson Tatum a fraud or this and that. That is not what I'm about to do. However, what I am going to do is be honest, something a lot of people in the media aren't doing right now regarding this situation. And the fact of the matter is, if you simply look at how Jayson Tatum performed in the exhibition matches and the Olympics, there is zero reason to criticize the decision from Steve Kerr to bench him. I want you to take a quick look at this graphic and tell me what stands out. Is it LeBron, Steph, and KD leading the team in scoring at their ages? Yeah, that's pretty crazy. But even crazier is the drop-off in efficiency from second least efficient on that list, Bam Adebayo, to Jayson Tatum. In fact, if you want to hear something even crazier, of every player listed there, only one of them did not make a jump shot all Olympics. It wasn't Bam Adebayo, it wasn't Anthony Davis. It was Jayson Tatum. Not a single three-point shot was made by Tatum during these Olympics, and you can talk about how he didn't play enough minutes to make any jump shots. That might be true if we didn't have a 5-game sample size beforehand, of which Tatum started multiple games and made 0 jump shots in those 5 exhibition games as well. Does this mean Jayson Tatum all of a sudden became a useless basketball player? Absolutely not. But when you have a team of the best shooters, defenders, and basketball players in the world, if you were the only player on the entire team not capable of making a jump shot, it becomes a detriment to the team. And for some reason, a lot of people want to completely ignore this and focus on what Jayson Tatum is capable of, which we all know he's capable of being one of the best players on that team. But you can't just call Steve Kerr a clown without telling us whose minutes Jayson Tatum was supposed to take in those 2 games that he was benched. Was it Devin Booker, who was playing elite on defense, moving the ball, and making damn near every jump shot he took? What about his teammate Drew Holiday, who was doing all the same things Devin Booker was doing, and again, was knocking down shots at a 50% rate? So if it's not those 2 guys, who else? He's obviously not going to take Kevin Durant and LeBron James's minutes, because while some people thought this would be the crowning moment for Tatum to overtake those guys, it wasn't the case. And Kevin Durant is a great example, because after being injured, he came off the bench. The greatest Olympic player in US history had to work his way back off the bench, and well, it took him about 5 minutes to prove why he's irreplaceable. Tatum had 10 games to prove that, and at no point did he look like a player that you thought to yourself needs to be on the floor every single minute. You also have to consider the opponent, because both times he was benched was against Serbia. For anyone who watched the Olympics, Serbia were obviously a very good offense, led by Jokic and a lot of guard play. However, they didn't really utilize their wings a lot, thus reducing some of Tatum's value as a defender, but the biggest weakness for Serbia was their inability to defend the 3-point line. In the 2 games against Serbia, Team USA shot 56% from 3 in Game 1 and 50% from 3 in the semi-final. So tell me why you would sacrifice the biggest strength you have against your opponent to play someone who had been the worst shooter in the entire tournament. There is no reason aside from reputation. And let me make this clear again, because I know people will take this the wrong way, but this is not to discredit Jayson Tatum as a player. There aren't many players with his combination of defensive versatility, rebounding, scoring, and shooting ability. Unfortunately, that shooting ability just left his body at the worst possible time, and those other attributes that I talked about, like his defensive versatility, wasn't overly important in a matchup up against Serbia when they ran 95% of their offense through a 7-footer and Bogdan Bogdanovic, a 7-footer who Team USA had 3 different All-NBA and all-defensive level centers to match up against. And honestly, the narrative around the minutes Tatum received at the Olympics has been nasty, because yes, he was benched for 2 games, but in those 4 games he played, he averaged more minutes per game than Anthony Davis, Anthony Edwards, and Bam Adebayo, all 3 of which were significantly better in the exhibition matches and the Olympics. But Steve Kerr showed faith in Tatum in those games when he was on the floor, to the point where Tatum played more minutes in the final against France than Joel Embiid, who was coming off his best game of the Olympics against Serbia. And this is why the criticism for Steve Kerr is unfair, because you can disagree with his decision. I don't know why you would, because they won the gold medal and Tatum was just bad, let's be honest, but people are acting like there was favoritism at play when every single player on the roster, aside from Steph Curry and LeBron James, had different roles and different minutes in every single game. And it was Steph and LeBron who delivered in the 2 biggest games of the tournament. And let's be honest, if there are 2 players that deserve favoritism, it's Stephen Curry and LeBron James. But this is where we need to take a step back for just a second and acknowledge that 2 things can be true. Jayson Tatum was definitely not the worst player on Team USA, but he was undoubtedly the worst performing player on Team USA during these set of games. And with a gold medal on the line, I don't know how you can blame Steve Kerr for making the decision he did. Now, ultimately, this means nothing in the grand scheme of things. The only reason Jayson Tatum was benched was because of his jump shot. So unless he goes from someone who shot 37% from 3 on 8 attempts last season to a non-shooter, then he will be back again next season and he will be in the running for All-NBA first team again. Because let's get a few things straight. Jayson Tatum might not be as good of a shooter as Devin Booker or Kevin Durant. He might not be as good a passer or as dominant at getting to the rim as LeBron James. But what makes him such a unique player and so great to build an NBA team around is his versatility on both ends of the floor that might be the best in the entire league. The kind of versatility where he can go from guarding a center, like on this play where he strips Bam Adebayo in the post, to then switching onto a guy like Jalen Brunson or Donovan Mitchell on the perimeter and blocking their shots as well. Or the kind of versatility on offense where you can run high pick and rolls for him with Al Horford. And with both defenders going to the ball, Tatum makes the perfect bounce pass to Al for the open 3. Not to mention the 27 points and 8 rebounds a night you get from him as well. Jayson Tatum is an unbelievable player. So I understand why Celtics fans were mad, but from a strategical standpoint and from a non-biased perspective, Steve Kerr made a very fair decision. And honestly, the player that really took Tatum's minutes was Devin Booker, because he took on the role of being versatile defensively, which Tatum usually does, and despite not being as physically gifted, USA didn't really need that extra size on the wing against most of these teams at the tournament, so it made much more sense to opt for Book's combination of defense and shooting.